Be me, Anon 42. I own a commercial real estate development company. My job is to look at an empty, derelict plot of land, a forgotten warehouse, a weed-choked parking lot, and see the future. I see the 20-year pro forma, the depreciation schedules, the cap rates, the cash-on-cash return. I'm a builder, but I don't build with wood and steel. I build with capital, contracts, and a deep, almost religious understanding of risk. My entire life is a long-term investment. I don't chase fads. I don't make emotional decisions. I buy undervalued assets with strong fundamentals and hold them for the long haul. I am a patient, disciplined, and very wealthy man. My greatest asset, however, is not one of my buildings. It's the prenuptial agreement I signed 15 years ago. It is the single most profitable and well-structured deal of my entire life. This story is about the day that deal came due and the market correction that followed. My wife's name was Isabella. I met her when I was 25. I was a young, hungry commercial real estate broker, still cutting my teeth. She was 23, working as a paralegal with big dreams and an even bigger smile. I was, like most young men, a blue-pilled fool. I saw love as a merger of souls, not a merger of balance sheets. She was beautiful, ambitious, smart. She was my partner in everything. In those early years, we were a team. We lived in a tiny apartment, ate cheap takeout, and dreamed of the future. I was building my business, and she was my biggest supporter, my sounding board, my co-conspirator. After 2 years, I was ready to propose. I had just closed my first big deal and had a little money in the bank. But I had also seen, in my line of work, the ugly aftermath of what happens when a partnership dissolves without a clear contract. I had seen business partners destroy each other, and I had seen friends get financially eviscerated in divorces. A man who builds skyscrapers without insuring them is an idiot. A man who builds a marriage without a contract is a romantic, which is often the same thing. So I did something that, at the time, was seen as deeply unromantic. I asked her to sign a prenuptial agreement. The conversation was difficult. "A prenup?" she said, her eyes wide with a hurt I now understand was 90% performance. "You don't trust me? You think we're going to get divorced?" "No," I said, taking her hands. "I think we're going to build an empire together, and every empire needs a constitution. It's not about planning to fail. It's about creating a fair and transparent framework for success. It protects both of us." I had hired the best lawyer I could afford. The terms of the prenup were meticulously fair, based on the laws of our state at the time. It stipulated a clear division between separate and marital property. What was mine before the marriage remained mine. What was hers remained hers. Anything we built together would be considered marital property and split 50/50ths in the event of a divorce. And it contained a specific, carefully worded alimony clause. It stated that, in the event of a divorce, alimony would be rehabilitative, not permanent. It would be paid for a period of 1 year for every 3 years of marriage, with a cap of 5 years. The amount would be based on her need to rehabilitate her career and become self-sufficient. It was designed to be a safety net, not a hammock. A launching pad, not a lifetime pension. She was a paralegal. She understood contracts. Her own lawyer reviewed it and told her it was fair. She hesitated, but I held firm. I was willing to lose her over this, because a woman who refused to sign a fair contract was not a woman I wanted to build a life with. She finally, reluctantly, signed it. We got married a few months later. I put the signed document in my safe deposit box and forgot about it for 15 years. The first 5 years of our marriage were the building together phase. She continued to work as a paralegal. I started my own development company. We pooled our resources. We were a team. Then we had our first child, a daughter. Isabella decided she wanted to be a stay-at-home mother. I supported her decision. I had the traditionalist streak in me. I liked the idea of my wife raising our children, of creating a warm and stable home for us. It was a joint decision. She quit her job. Her income went to zero. My income, as my business grew, started to skyrocket. This is the moment the dynamic shifted. The moment the partnership began to slowly, imperceptibly, curdle into a dependency. She was no longer my partner in building the empire. She was now a resident of it. Her role changed from co-builder to something else, something more comfortable, something less accountable. A few years later, we had a son. Her life became a whirlwind of playdates, PTA meetings, and charity luncheons. My life was a whirlwind of zoning board meetings, investor calls, and construction site inspections. We were living parallel lives under the same roof. The woman I had married, the ambitious, sharp, witty paralegal, slowly disappeared. She was replaced by a mom, a wife of, a woman whose entire identity became enmeshed with her role as the manager of my home and the caretaker of my children. And with this new identity came a new, unspoken set of assumptions. I was the provider. My duty was to produce. She was the homemaker. Her duty was what exactly? As the kids got older and were in school all day, her duties seemed to shrink, but her sense of entitlement grew. Our home was run by a hired housekeeper and a nanny. She didn't cook, she managed the chef. She didn't clean, she supervised the staff. Her days were filled with yoga, tennis lessons, lunches with other wealthy, bored wives, and managing her social calendar. She had, without either of us fully realizing it, retired at the age of 30. She had become a professional wife, and she was very, very good at her job. But a job is something you can be fired from. The cracks in the foundation started to show around year 12. The respect was gone. She saw my work not as the engine that powered our entire existence, but as an annoying hobby that took me away from her. I'd come home, exhausted from a 12-hour day of battling with city inspectors and union foremen, and she would greet me with a list of complaints. The pool guy was late. Her friend had a bigger diamond. The caterer for her charity event was being difficult. My immense, soul-crushing stress was invisible to her. Her trivial, first-world problems were 5-alarm fires that required my immediate and undivided attention. She no longer saw my money as our money that I earned. She saw it as a public utility that she was entitled to, like water or electricity. There was no gratitude, only expectation. The intimacy died. We became roommates who co-managed a small domestic corporation. I tried to fix it. I suggested therapy. She scoffed. "We don't need therapy. You just need to work less and pay more attention to me." I was an asset that was underperforming in its duties to her. The end came not with a bang, but with a quiet, devastating discovery. I had installed a new security system in our home, one with a cloud-based backup for all the cameras. I was on a business trip in Asia. I logged into the system remotely to check on the house, and I saw it. The footage from the previous day. The nanny had taken the kids to a movie. The house was supposed to be empty. It wasn't. There was her car in the driveway, and there was another car, a convertible Porsche I didn't recognize. And there, on the back patio camera, was my wife of 15 years, in a bathrobe, sharing a bottle of wine and a very intimate kiss with the tennis pro from her country club. I just stared at the screen for a long, long time. I didn't feel rage. I didn't feel heartbreak. I felt the cold, calm clarity of an investor who has just received definitive proof that one of his assets is not just underperforming, but is actively fraudulent. It was time to liquidate. I spent the next 2 days of my trip on the phone with my lawyer. Not my divorce lawyer, my corporate lawyer, the shark who handled my business contracts. I gave him his instructions. Execute the contract, precisely as written. No negotiation, no emotion. This is a business transaction, the dissolution of a failed partnership. I flew home. She had no idea. I walked into the house. She greeted me with a peck on the cheek. "How was the trip, honey?" "It was very illuminating," I said. I went to my study. A few hours later, a courier arrived. I took the large envelope from him. I walked into the living room, where she was scrolling through Instagram. I placed the envelope on the coffee table in front of her. "What's this?" she asked, annoyed at the interruption. "It's our future," I said, "or rather our lack of one. Those are divorce papers, Isabella. I've already signed them." The look on her face was a masterpiece of confusion, which quickly morphed into indignation. "What? You're divorcing me? Are you insane? Over what?" "Over the Porsche," I said calmly. The color drained from her face. She knew. And then the performance began. The tears, the denials, the accusations. "It was a mistake. It meant nothing. You were always working. I was lonely. You drove me to it." It was a predictable script. I did not engage. "I am not here to argue about the reasons," I said, my voice as flat as a balance sheet. "The partnership is dissolved. Our only remaining business is the division of assets according to the contract we both signed 15 years ago." I pulled a second document from my briefcase, a crisp, clean copy of our prenuptial agreement. "As per this document," I said, "you are entitled to 50% of all marital assets accumulated during our marriage. That includes the equity in this house, the value of our joint investment accounts, and a portion of my company's growth over the past 15 years. It will be a very generous settlement. You will walk away a multimillionaire." She looked relieved for a moment. The tears started to subside. She was doing the math in her head. "However," I continued, "as per Section 7, Subclause B, the alimony is rehabilitative. Based on 15 years of marriage, you are entitled to the maximum of 5 years of spousal support. The amount will be determined by the court, but will be based on your reasonable needs to re-enter the workforce and become self-sufficient." And that's when she broke. The tears of manipulative remorse were replaced by the wide-eyed stare of pure, unadulterated panic. "5 years?" she shrieked, her voice cracking. "5 years? What am I supposed to do after 5 years? I haven't worked in a decade and a half. I have no career. I gave up my life for you, for our children. You chose to stop working." I corrected her, my voice still calm. "It was a choice, and that choice has consequences. The contract you signed accounted for those consequences. It provides a very generous 5-year runway for you to rehabilitate the career you chose to abandon." "But I can't live on that," she cried. "My entire lifestyle, this house, the club, the staff, I can't support that on my own. I'm your wife. You're supposed to take care of me for the rest of my life. That was the deal." And there it was, the quiet part spoken out loud, the unspoken assumption that had rotted our marriage from the inside out. She hadn't seen our marriage as a partnership. She had seen it as a retirement plan. Her deal was that she would trade her youth and fidelity for a lifetime of comfort and security, with no expiration date. And she had just been informed that she had violated the terms of the agreement, and her pension was being terminated. "That was never the deal, Isabella," I said, and my voice had a cold, hard edge to it now. "The deal was the one we both signed, the one your own lawyer approved. The deal was that we were partners, And when you chose to bring another man into our partnership, you violated the most fundamental clause. You voided the contract. And now, the termination clauses are in effect. She was devastated. It was the raw, primal terror of a person who has just been informed that the trust fund they thought was infinite has just run dry. Her entire life, her entire sense of identity and security was built on the foundation of my income. She had never considered that the foundation could be withdrawn. She had assumed that her status as wife and mother granted her a lifetime golden parachute, regardless of her own actions. She was being confronted with a reality she had not inhabited for 15 years, the reality of consequences. "You can't do this," she sobbed. "I'll fight you. I'll take you to court. No judge will uphold this. They'll see that I was a stay-at-home mother." "They will," I said calmly, "and they will see this airtight, legally sound contract that you willingly signed. They will see that you are walking away with a net worth of over $8 million and 5 years of six-figure, tax-free alimony. They will see a 40-year-old, healthy, educated woman with a very generous runway to become self-sufficient. What they will not see is a victim." I stood up. I had said all I needed to say. The rest was for the lawyers. "You thought my role was to provide for you for life, no matter what. But that's not a husband. That's an insurance policy, and you just committed fraud. The policy is canceled." I walked out of the room, out of the house, out of the life we had built. The divorce was ugly, but short. She fought. She hired a shark. They tried to invalidate the prenup. They failed. The contract was ironclad. The judge looked at the terms, looked at the settlement, and practically laughed her out of court. She got her millions. She got her 5 years of alimony. She kept the house, but couldn't afford the taxes and the upkeep. She had to sell it a year later. Last I heard, she's living in a condo, trying to launch a lifestyle brand on Instagram. She's dating a man her own age who is between jobs. Her millions, without a steady hand to manage them, are likely disappearing fast. She is a woman who retired at 30 and was brutally forced back into the workforce at 40, with an outdated skill set and a taste for a lifestyle she could no longer afford. She was destroyed not by my anger, but by a simple 15-year-old contract. She was destroyed by the cold, hard, and utterly devastating reality that a man's provision is not an entitlement. It is a term of a partnership. And when you violate the terms, the partnership is dissolved, and the lifetime pension is denied.